2 days after my knee surgery. I was home with an ice pack and a bad daytime movie when my phone buzzed. It was June, my next-door neighbor. A photo, my front lawn. A for sale sign, I called her. "June, is that my house?" "I'm looking at it," she said. "Sign went in an hour ago. You okay?" "I'm surprised," I said. "I didn't ask for that." We hung up and I zoomed in on the photo. Agency name, mobile number. I dialed. "Harbor & Co., this is Talia." "Hi, Talia. My name's Elaine Mercer. You've put a sign at my address. I'm the owner. I didn't approve a listing." Silence. Paper rustle. One moment. New voice. Mark speaking. "Ms. Mercer, thanks for calling. We've been speaking with your son, Chris. He told us you're downsizing soon and asked us to get things moving." "Did he give you a signed authority?" I asked. "He said he'd bring it by today." "I won't," I said. "Please remove the sign. No photographs, no open home. I haven't agreed to sell." He cleared his throat. "Understood. I apologize. We'll stand everything down until we have your written authority." "Not unless," I said. "I'll confirm in writing." I ended the call and just sat there with the quiet sound of the fridge and the TV doing its fake laughter. The house didn't feel different. I texted Chris, "Call me when you're on a break." He rang straight away. "Mum, was just about to call you." "Good timing." "There's a sign on my lawn," I said. "Oh, great, they got there. Look, don't stress. Market's hot. We'll get you a tidy unit with a lift. No more stairs." "Chris, did you ask me?" "Mum, we talked about downsizing at Easter." "We talked," I said. "That's not the same as listing." He sighed. "I'm trying to help. You're just out of rehab. I thought it would take pressure off." "It's doing the opposite," I said. "I've asked the agent to remove the sign. We'll talk at home." 6 o'clock? A pause. "Okay, 6. I called my conveyancer, Maya, who has been my ring-first person since my husband passed. "Short version," I said. "A sign is up. I didn't authorize it." "Breathe," she said. "An agent can't sell your home without your written authority and your signature on a contract." "I'll email them now to withdraw any action and to confirm no photos, no access, no open homes. I'll also check titles. Your name's on it, yes?" "Mine alone," I said. "Good. We'll note your file that no one speaks for you unless you're in the room. Rest your knee. I'll call you after I hear back." I thanked her and put the kettle on. The teabag box was almost empty. I stared at it like it held answers. At 5:30, a ute pulled up next door and 2 men lifted my letterbox like it weighed less than a loaf of bread. June waved from her driveway. "Want me to stick around?" she mouthed. "I'm okay," I mouthed back. Chris came just before 6, straight from work, still in his button-down tie pulled loose. He kissed my cheek, opened the fridge, and poured himself a glass of orange juice like he always has. "How's the knee?" he asked. "Sore, manageable," I said. "Sit." He did, but with the restless energy of someone who thinks the meeting is a formality. "I rang the agent," I said. "And Maya, the sign's coming down." He blinked. "Already?" "Mum, at least let them appraise. You'd get a great price." "We could do the whole thing before Christmas." "We? You," he corrected quickly. "You could be somewhere safer, smaller." "Chris," I said, "you're a good son. You carry bins. You check my smoke alarms. But this is my house. I am not an asset you move around. If I sell, it will be my voice on the form, not your guess." He held up both hands as if catching a ball. "Okay, message received. I thought I was taking work off your plate." "You put a sign in my lawn," I said. "That added work." He rubbed his forehead. "I called the agent because I knew if we waited, you'd put it off forever. You hate estate agents." "I don't hate them," I said. "I hate pressure. And I hate being told after the fact." He looked hurt, then defensive. "We care about you. Stairs are a risk. The physio said. I heard her, I said. She said, plan for the future. She didn't say, sign now. He blew out a breath. I'm juggling a lot, Mum. Work's a mess. The kids' sport. Mara's hours got cut. I thought, if we just actioned one thing. Help means options, Chris, I said. Control means you choose for me. We sat in that sentence. All right, he said at last. What do you want to do? Tomorrow we go to the agency together. We confirm in person that nothing proceeds without me. Then on my timeline, we can look at a couple of smaller places, just to see. No commitments. He nodded slowly. Okay. And I'm sorry. I should have asked. Thank you, I said. I'd like my spare keys back too, just for now. He hesitated. They're on my ring. Just for now, I repeated. He unclipped them and slid them across the table. Small sound, loud meaning. That night, Maya called. I've emailed the agency and received written confirmation. No listing, no photographs. They'll remove the sign tomorrow morning. Thank you, I said. And Elaine, she added, voice kind. When you're ready to look at downsizing properly, I'll be here. On your timeline. The next morning, 2 lads came to take the sign away. One of them looked sheepish. We got told to put it back later in the week, he said. That won't be happening, I said. But thank you for the lift holes. My grass has needed aerating. He laughed, and they drove off. At 9, Chris picked me up. We didn't put the radio on. The agency was on the corner near the bakery that still does custard tarts the way my mother liked. Inside, shiny floor, glass desk, photos of happy couples with keys. Mark stood to greet us. Ms. Mercer. Chris. He looked carefully at me, not through me. I'm sorry about yesterday. We moved too fast. Yes, I said, you did. He gestured to chairs. We're not going to proceed. We'll send you an apology in writing. Good, I said. I also want it on your system that no one discusses my property without me present. Logged? He said, tapping. Chris cleared his throat. Can I ask, if Mum decided to sell in, say, 6 months, what would we need? Mark smiled, stayed in his lane. You'd need Ms. Mercer in this chair. And her signature. Right, Chris said. Right. We walked out into the bright morning and stood on the footpath trying to choose the next sensible thing. Coffee? He asked. Yes, I said, and 1 custard tart. We sat at a table in the window. People pushed prams and checked shopping lists. The world did not care about our little drama, and that helped. I've booked 2 unit inspections for next week, I said, out of curiosity. 1 near the Bowls Club, 1 behind the chemist. You can come if you want, or I'll FaceTime you from the lift. His shoulders dropped a centimeter. I'd like to come. I promise I'll keep my mouth shut unless asked. Deal, I said, and you'll appreciate the lift when your knees get to 69. He laughed. Fair. We drove home. He carried my groceries in and fixed the blind cord that had been annoying me for months. Before he left, he stood in the doorway, awkward for a second. I'll do better, he said. Ask first, help second. That's all I want, I said. And if, in the end, I stay here, you'll still visit and carry the bins. I will, he said, even if you buy a unit and the bins are fancier. When he was gone, I put the kettle on again and stood by the sink looking out at the patch of lawn where the sign had been. The holes were small. The grass would close over by the weekend. The phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Ms. Mercer. Kara from Bankside Gardens. I understand you're coming to our over 55s open day next Wednesday. We've had a cancellation for a private viewing this afternoon if you'd like a quiet look. I glanced at my knee brace. What time? 3. All right, I said. I'll come, I texted Chris. Going to peek at a unit at 3. Don't fuss, I'll be careful. He replied, Want company? Not for this first look, I wrote. I want to hear what I think before I hear what you think. Got it, he sent back. Proud of you either way. At 2:30, I eased into the driver's seat, adjusted the brace, and drove the 10 minutes to Bankside. Low buildings, quiet paths, no scent of bleach or echo of hallways the way hospitals have. Kara met me with a smile that didn't try to sell me anything in the first sentence. We'll take it slow, she said. Lift is on your left. The unit was light, 2 bedrooms, a balcony big enough for a small table and a pot of parsley, no steps. The shower had a rail. The kitchen had drawers instead of deep cupboards you have to kneel to reach. The bedroom had a window that faced a tree that was not trying too hard. We stood in the living room while she let the silence do its job. You don't have to decide, she said finally. Plenty of people come look and then go home and breathe and think. I like that plan, I said. Driving home, I didn't picture an auction or a moving van. I pictured my own front steps and then the lift button, side by side, like 2 sensible shoes in different colors. When I pulled into my driveway, Maya's email pinged. All confirmed in writing. No action on the property without you. When you're ready to talk timelines, I'll bring tea. I was halfway through replying when a car door slammed across the street. Mara, my daughter-in-law, was striding over, phone in hand. Elaine, she said, not unkindly, just full. Can we talk? Chris is rattled. He's trying. We're both trying. We just need to understand what the plan is. I opened the screen door and held it for her. Kitchen, I said. There's tea. I set out 2 mugs. She didn't sit right away. She ran her fingers along the bench like she used to when they first moved in next door, and she was still learning where my tea towels lived. Look, she said, I wasn't part of the sign thing. I only found out after. But the truth is, the stairs scare me too. And if something happens, it lands with us. I don't mean that as a threat. It's just the reality. I know, I said, and I'm not ignoring it. I went to look at a unit today. Her eyes flicked up. Oh, I'm not promising anything, I said. I'm also not refusing. I'm going to make a list. Pros, cons, what I can afford without feeling squeezed. Then I'll decide. She exhaled. Some of the tension left her shoulders. That sounds reasonable. It is, I said. And reasonable works best when nobody moves ahead of the person who has to sign. She nodded. I'll say that to Chris. Good, I said. And one more thing. We keep all paperwork in my house, not the group chat. If a form needs me, it touches my table first. Fair, she said. We over-organize on our phones. I forget what we've actually said out loud. We drank tea. It tasted like we might actually manage this without turning holidays into courtrooms. At 6, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Hello? Ms. Mercer, this is Liam from Harbor & Co. Just letting you know. Someone who saw the sign yesterday rang to ask about viewing. We told him it was a mistake and that there's no listing. He said he might put a note in your letterbox with an offer just in case. I wanted to give you a heads up. Thanks, I said. If a note arrives, I'll ignore it. Good call, he said. After dinner, I took the rubbish out. On the way back in, I checked the letterbox. 1 white envelope, no stamp, a first name and a number. Happy to buy as is, can move fast. I held it over the bin, then put it on the hall table instead. Not to answer. Just to remind myself that I'm popular when people want my address and invisible when they want my consent. I washed up. My knee ached, the way it does when I've been standing too long. I made a heat pack. I set it on the joint and picked up a pad of paper. What I'd miss if I moved. The wattle outside my bedroom window. June's eagle eye. The line the sun makes across the lounge at 8 a.m. in winter. My short walk to the little library. What I'd gain if I moved. No stairs. A lift that doesn't judge my good days and bad days. Someone else's roof to fix. A balcony where herbs won't cook in summer. I put the pad down. Not a contract, not a speech, just two sensible lists. At 9, Chris texted, "Thanks for today. I needed a reset. Love you." "Love you too," I wrote back. "We're okay." I went to bed to the sound of light rain on the carport. The good kind of noise. The next steps felt clear. Look properly, decide slowly, tell people plainly. No signs without my say-so. No moving vans without my hand on the door. The doorbell rang the next morning just after 10. When I opened it, Mark from the agency was on the step with a printed letter and a careful expression. "Ms. Mercer," he said, "we've documented the withdrawal and the fact that we acted on an assumption. I wanted to apologize in person." "Thank you," I said. "Lesson learned." He nodded, then shifted, as if carrying a second message. "There is one more thing I think you should see." He held up a clipboard. On it, a single page with a signature line. The line had a signature. It wasn't mine. He looked me in the eye. "This was dropped at our office late yesterday. It says Elaine Mercer, but I don't think it is." I felt the house go very quiet. "Who brought it?" I asked. "A courier," he said. "No return address." I looked at the signature again. My name was there. But the way the R curled was wrong. I took a breath. "Come in," I said, and stepped back. Mark stood in my hallway with a clipboard and an apology already on his face. The page looked official enough. Agency letterhead. My name typed in full, a scratch of ink on the signature line that was supposed to be me. "It isn't," I said. "My R doesn't curl like that." He nodded. "We thought so. We didn't act on it. We kept it and came straight here." "Good," I said. "Please don't shred anything. This is not a fight, but it is serious." I rang Maya and put her on speaker. "Walk me through it," she said. Mark did. Courier drop. Time. Staff who received it. The envelope still intact in a clear sleeve. "Thank you for not pretending it's nothing," Maya said. "Elaine, here's what we'll do. I'll draft a letter for you to sign today. You didn't sign. You don't authorize anyone to sign for you, and you dispute this document. Mark, please email me a scan and your notes. Keep the original. If anything else arrives, call me first." Mark agreed. I could hear him scribbling. "And Elaine," Maya added, "you might want your son here while we sort it. Not to punish, so he hears the process." "I'll call him," I said. Chris arrived in 20 minutes, all color gone from his face. He shook Mark's hand, sat at my table, and stared at the page. "Is that, Mum? I didn't sign that," he said. "I swear." "I believe you," I said. "But this came from somewhere." He rubbed his eyes. "I asked for the form by email last week. I printed 2 at work. I took one to show Mara, left the other in my car. I told Mark I'd bring your signature after I saw you. And then I panicked and booked the sign. I thought pressure would make this easier." He shook his head. "Stupid." "I didn't sign your name, Mum. I wouldn't." Mark kept his voice even. Who else had access to the form, Chris thought. I dropped my car at the tire place on Tuesday and left the folder in the front seat. It was unlocked in the yard for half an hour. I didn't think. We all let that sit. "All right," Maya said through the speaker. "We won't speculate. We'll document. Chris, please write a short note for me times who you told about the forms, where they were. No adjectives, just facts." He nodded and started writing. By noon, Mark had emailed Maya scans, courier details, and staff names. Maya sent back a simple 1-page statement for me. "I did not sign this. No one has my permission to sign for me. No listing now or later without me present." I printed it, signed in blue ink, and sent a photo to Chris so he'd see his mother's R. Mark stood to leave. "We'll add an internal alert on your address. Nothing moves unless you're in the room." "Thank you," I said. When the door closed, Chris stayed at the table. He didn't look at me right away. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "I thought I was being proactive. I was being careless and arrogant." You were worried, I said, and you forgot the difference between helping and taking over. He nodded. I get it now. We didn't hug it out. We stacked cups and let quiet do its work. The next week, we kept the unit appointments I'd made. I drove. Chris came along and kept his promise to keep opinions in his pocket. At the first place, a woman in a red cardigan watered pot plants on her balcony and called down to us, "Watch the afternoon sun flat, 12 gets warm." It was the kind of detail you only get from someone who actually lives there. Inside, the rooms were bright and close together, the way small places are. I imagined winter light on the table and the noise of rain on a lower roof I didn't have to fix. At the second place, the one behind the chemist, everything was new. It smelled like paint and a checklist. The lift was quick. The windows looked onto a line of young trees that would one day be shade and were for now just promises. Chris walked with me, hands in his jacket, asking practical questions when asked. Body core fees? Pets allowed? Storage cages? He glanced at my knee when we tried the lift and didn't comment when I pressed the button with my knuckle like a superstitious person. Between the two visits, we ate in a shopping center cafe that does a passable toasty. We didn't talk about moving or not moving. We talked about bins and the kids' soccer draw and the fact that my smoke alarm chirped at 3 a.m. and I needed a new battery. On the way home, I said, I liked the first one more. Not the decor, the trees. Makes sense, he said. Your kettle whistle would sound good there. It sounds good here too, I said, and he nodded. At home, I phoned Maya. She'd spoken to the agency's director. The forged page was now part of an internal review. No one had tried to lodge anything with the titles office. A note sat on my file like a second lock. Do you want to take this to the police? She asked. Not now, I said. Nothing went through. If anything else appears, we'll go. Good, she said. And in the meantime, consider a small thing, a folder where you keep every document with your name on it. In your house, on your shelf. I already have one, I said. It lives behind the phone. Chris knows where it is. That's the point, she said gently. We'll make a second, in sight, not in circulation. Keys, bank cards, passport, spare signature stamps if you have any. Fewer hands, fewer issues. Done, I said. That afternoon, I bought a small fire-safe box and put it under my bed with a note taped inside the lid. If you're reading this with me, good. If you're reading it without me, stop. It made me smile. Sometimes you write for yourself. The weekend brought weather, as it does. Chris came by with the kids and a new smoke alarm battery. He fixed the battery, I made pancakes, and we just were. No talk of signs, no talk of units. Just maple syrup and napkins and the noise of small people making a house feel like it remembers why it was built. After lunch, when cartoons were on and small people were soft, Mara joined me at the table. I want to say something clearly, she said. We both got ahead of you. We won't again. If you decide to move in 6 months or 6 years, it'll be your call. If you decide not to, we'll work with that too. Thank you, I said. And I'll be practical. I'll add a handrail by the back steps, and we'll talk about a cleaner every fortnight for the heavier bits. That's me doing my part. That helps, she said. And if you ever want to try a short stay at one of those units to see how it feels, you can test it while keeping your house. No drama. That idea I like, I said. A trial, not a promise. We both smiled. We both like trials more than ultimatums. On Monday, I asked Glenn, the handyman who fixed my fence, to add a back step rail and to put a second grab bar in the shower. He did both by Thursday and charged less than I expected. The house felt the same, just kinder. Chris stopped sending me links to listings. He sent me photos of the kids' art and a video of a neighbor's cat stealing a sausage from a barbecue. Every now and then he'd ask, "Do you want me to book another viewing?" And I'd say, "Not this week," and that was the end of it. A small thing changed too, he asks before he uses my printer. It's nothing. It's everything. 3 weeks later, I met Maya for tea. She brought a bright yellow folder and a pen that writes the way good shoes feel. 2 things, she said. First, the agency finished their review. No one there signed anything. They've tightened their intake. Second, here's a 1-page note we'll keep on record for you and send to your GP, your bank, and the agency. No documents without Elaine present. If something urgent ever happens, this makes life easier. We read it together, changed 1 phrase, and I signed. My R behaved. We smiled. Do you know what you want yet? She asked. I want my knee to stop complaining, I said. And I want the wattle to flower 1 more winter before I decide. That's a plan, she said. It's also allowed. On the way home, I walked slowly along my front path and looked at the garden beds I pretend I'll weed next week. A kookaburra laughed from somewhere I couldn't see. The grass had healed. You'd have to know where to look to see where the posts had been. That night, Chris and Mara came over without the kids, which always means they want to talk like adults. We've been thinking, he said, about the future, ours and yours. I poured tea and waited. We want to be clear, Mara said. No paperwork about your house, car, bank, or health will go anywhere without you in the room. If something urgent comes up, we will call Maya and do what she says. No shortcuts. We wrote it down. Simple. She slid a half sheet across the table. It said, ask Elaine first. If Elaine says no, we stop. If Elaine says yes, we book a time and do it together. If Elaine can't answer, Maya leads. Spare keys live with Elaine. Borrow, return same day. I read it once and nodded. Good, I said. Put a photo of that in your phones. I'll stick the paper on my fridge where rules belong. We all laughed a little at that, relief laughter, not nervous. Chris looked tired in the way people look when they've learned something hard and are glad they know it now instead of later. I'm sorry it took a sign to learn this, he said. It took a scare, I said. Those work. I prefer a cup of tea. But here we are. We sat for a while, not needing to fill the air. When they left, Chris kissed my forehead the way he used to when he was 10 and going to a sleepover. Careful, quick, unsure whether he was too old or still allowed. I let him. He's allowed. A month on, nothing dramatic happened, which is the best outcome. I tried 2 more unit viewings and decided not to rush. I booked a cleaner. I learned to carry groceries in 2 light trips instead of 1 heavy one. The back rail caught me twice, exactly when it should. Every so often, I drive past Bankside Gardens and sit in the car for 5 minutes to listen to the quiet. Sometimes I think, soon. Sometimes I think, not yet. Both feel true. The letter from the man who wanted to buy as is lives in a drawer, not because I'm tempted, but because it reminds me that strangers are bolder than family can ever be. That helps me forgive my son. He was clumsy with love. I can work with that as long as he asks first. When the wattle flowered, I took a photo and sent it to him with a single line, "Still home." He sent a heart and a thumbs up and a photo of my grandson's missing tooth. Life scrolled on. If you've ever come home to a decision made for you, here's the line that served me. Help means options. Control means you choose for me. Say it once, calmly. Then do the small steps that match it. 1 phone call, 1 note on the fridge, 1 new rail by the steps. It's ordinary. Ordinary works. And if this felt like your family too, subscribe to Quiet Revenge and tell me the simple sentence you use when you need to slow everything down. Mine is, not today. Let's look together next week.